Hey there, everyone. I'm Chris Arredondo, co-founder and head of sales and customer success here at Cargo Chief, where we combine automated workflows with efficient lane management to help brokers reduce their reliance on load boards, grow revenue, and maximize productivity. When you're dealing with load hostage situations or claims, think about where it came from and were there any red flags that would tell you that this might not be the best carrier to work with. We're in the business of getting brokers off load boards and doing more with less to give you a more secure way of booking freight. But it's not just for coverage. I recently sat with a customer who won a high volume, low margin lane. He struggled to make a profit because he bid too low, so the shipper kept sending him loads at below market rate. He'd post a load and negotiate with carriers until he could find one to at least make a small profit, 25 or 50 bucks. After seeing how much effort went into that, I showed him our Book Now feature right there in his TMS. The next load he got, he built it in his TMS, and within a minute, carrier responded. Now that same load is on its way to a zero-touch process every single time. With tight margins, you can't really afford to put the same effort into small loads as you would a high margin load. And really, who would complain about making 50 bucks a load with zero effort? Let me show you how you can get off load boards. It starts with how we build our capacity. Here in C4, you're going to see a couple of things. One is a rating engine, as well as a capacity and carrier database. How we process this information is through transaction data. As soon as a load gets booked in C4, we process that transaction immediately. That helps us tell you guys a couple things: where the market's going, where it's been, but also what lanes these carriers run. When we talk about real-time data coming through, today is the 15th. Here, looking in the pool of data, we were already processing loads picking up in the future. So it's not just historical data. It's current data today and also loads tomorrow, next week, next month. For the carrier database, there's a couple things that we can show you and how you can find a better carrier partner. If you have compliance tools like RMIS or My Carrier Portal, those integrations are included in a subscription to help you have your compliance criteria mixed with your carrier selection. Inside of C4, there's carriers here. For an example, DEG Logistics. Traditionally, people are gonna maybe take information down in a spreadsheet or sticky notes and write it down somewhere else. The problem with that is it doesn't interact with your data in real time. So when we look at a carrier like DEG, there's a couple things that go into what's gonna serve this carrier up as a match. One is the confidence that pulls in how close this lane is that the carrier runs, as well as how often they run it with frequency. That paired with your compliance data from your risk assessment, that data comes in over here as well, and that's going to impact the matches that you're going to see. When we talk about getting off of load boards, the problem isn't the product, it's often just the marketplace and the market that we're in. So the carriers that we're bringing in from our network already pass your compliance criteria without you having to go and wonder, who is this other carrier that I'm about to work with? The next part of the process is actually the procurement workflow. And how we build that out is through projects. Under projects, there are a lot of different ways that you can categorize different processes. And maybe it's projects that you've already got going on, new business, trouble lanes, whatever it is, you can pretty much build and create a layout that fits your business. I'm going to hop into one called Waterfalls. In C4, we've already got the database for you, so you don't really have to go profile of carriers. C4 has already done it. Here on the recommended page is pretty much the same list on the other side, where as you're finding new carriers, your onboarding link will be right here so you can quickly send it out to new carriers. The other part is once you've identified that cluster of carriers, there's not really a reason to go outside of your current network and find new carriers out of that. That's where we start to introduce waterfalls. Now with Book Now, waterfalls gets pretty interesting whenever you're trying to reduce your reliance on load boards. Here inside of C4, we'll create different groups for you. In this case, priority 1, 2, and 3. Through our booking assistant and automation workflows, this is where your loads will start to get waterfalled out to different carriers. But what happens actually in the automation piece is without clicking a button, we process your data in real time. What we would do is pull your load number right there from your TMS. The next thing that's going to happen, C4 is going to look for your project settings. So if you've got waterfalls built out, what would happen is C4 will trigger out a workflow to where it'll go into your first priority and send a load offer out to group 1. If none of those guys book with you in whatever time cadence you set up, that'll go to group 2. If those carriers don't book with you in a certain time frame, then everything else will go to everyone else that you have, whether in group 3 or any outside of out-of-network carriers. The other thing that it's going to check for is batching. So often brokers will duplicate loads, and rather than sending carriers 15 emails, we'll send them one that says, hey, we've got 15 loads. That carrier then has a frictionless experience to click into a portal that's already linked back to their MC DOT contact information. So that carrier can see all 15 loads, click and book, counter, do different things, and all that information goes right back to your TMS and your inbox. What you can see here on the right is all the offers going out to the carriers that were listed as a match. So if you want to hear more about how you can help prevent your next claim from actually happening and reduce your cost per load, go to cargochief.com to book a demo. Take back control of the market, because trust me, booking freight can be way less stressful.